Welcome to the Daily Huddle. We are on YouTube at the Daily Huddle. My name is Saurel Quettan, and my good friend Giovanni Gonzalez is here with me, and we're here for Catherine Sable and Tara Heaton. The conversation today is inside this context. We call it Beyond Words, Mastering the 6 Levels of Communication for Real Change. Now, how many of you think that effective communication is a function of diction, tone, volume, gestures? Maybe you went to Toastmasters. Maybe you did a course in college. Well, Giovanni and I are here today to stand on the shoulders of Tara and Catherine to say effective communication matters because effective communication creates effective relationships. Effective relationships create better homes, better families, better communities, better schools, better institutions, even a better country, and perhaps a better world. And yet, if all we think is that effective communication anchors in how we speak and the words that come out of our mouths, maybe we'll miss the entire boat. So today, myself and Giovanni Gonzalez are inviting you to consider that maybe effective communication is a function of emotional intelligence and rests on my willingness, your willingness, to be 100% responsible for communication at 6 levels. Jill, I'm going to say the 6 levels, and then we're going to dance. What do you say?
Yeah.
Well, level 1 is what I say to myself, my relationship with myself. Level 2 is what I say to you, my relationship with you. 3, what you say to me, your relationship with me. What you say to others is level 4, your relationship with others. What others say to you, others' relationship with you. And last but not least, level 6, what others say to others, the relationship that others have with others. And I'm inviting you to consider in this conversation that unless you're willing to be 100% responsible for all of that, you can't be responsible for any of it, and perhaps you end up being a victim of any of it. Jill, this is how we begin the conversation. Come on in, brother. Tell me, what are you thinking, and how do you see the 6 levels of communication contributing to effective communication in business and in life?
Hey, Saurel. Yes, thank you. So I heard a lot. Like, you created this huge conversation that needs to be in many ways unfolded so that we can all settle in some way about the opportunity of communication. And I think communication is a very big word, like it means a lot, and it means a lot for a lot of people in different contexts, right? There is the context of home. How do we communicate at home builds that emotional home that we're looking for: affinity, respect, intimacy, fun, joy. There's that communication at home that matters so much. And it's everything for me and for people. Then there's the communication at work, and that means a lot. It matters a lot. My ability to communicate effectively at work creates teams, gets people to work in an environment where they love and they enjoy. It also gets people to row together, gets people to align. So communication is at the heart of everything. And what from in my
Indeed.
life, and in your life. And so what I like to dance with is that perhaps we're going to give this angle, counterintuitive for some of us, but certainly this different angle about the opportunity to unfold this big world called communication, where by looking at it from this point of view, I'm going to say, and I'm going to challenge those of you who are listening today, I'm going to say that it's going to give you tools and an opening to be effective at any relationship, whether it's at home or whether it's at work, whether it's intimate or whether it's collegial. And so you were saying that there are these 6 levels, and like you said, we can't quite unfold all of them, but we certainly can start with the first one, which is my relationship with myself. How do I communicate with myself? And for me, Sorel, I guess something I want to say, and maybe you let me know what you want to add, or how do you want to
Yeah, and
dance. Let
just
me
want
let
to
me
take a
say one
moment,
thing.
Gio,
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
to frame what you're saying. This is perfect, right? There's a way that the way I speak to myself impact me. So perhaps we begin there. How does the way I speak to myself impact my own reality?
Yeah, so that's an aspect that it took me a long time to get for myself, that I have a conversation with myself. I never really saw myself having a conversation with myself. I saw myself having thoughts. I saw myself just talking. And sometimes I would laugh when people say, "Do you talk to yourself?" And I would
All the
hide
time,
it.
right?
Of course, I talk to myself all the time, but I never quite saw it the way you're pointing to it. I speak to myself. I have a conversation with myself. I never quite saw that there is a way in which I am creating my life by the way I communicate with myself. I never saw that. I never saw
Yeah.
the impact that it has on my life the way I talk to myself. I thought it was talk is cheap. I thought it didn't matter the way I communicate with myself because since you didn't hear it, Sorrel, since Christy didn't hear it, right? Since Farid didn't hear it, well, it didn't matter what I say to myself. And what I started discovering at this first level of communication, Sorrel, is that the way I communicate with myself impacts everything, all of it. My relationship with Christy, my relationship with Michelle, my relationship with Florence, my relationship with you. So there's this big world to unfold and
It
to
is.
discover.
Yeah. And I love what you're saying, Giovanni, that the way I speak to myself actually impacts everything. Because think about it this way: what I say to myself is a function of my thinking. The thoughts come in, and most of them aren't like, they're not saying, "Hey, Saurel, you're the greatest on the face of the planet." They're saying something really different. And the way they impact me ends up impacting the way words come out of my mouth and the way I interact with you. And when I interact with you, you go interact with others. So I'm impacting others too. So it is really critical. And it is at level one, Gio, because it is that fundamental. Unless I'm mastering the conversations I have with myself and shaping them in such a way that when they impact me, the impact points in the direction of fulfilling the intention I have, as opposed to the intention what I'm saying to myself brings automatically, I am doomed.
Very much. And when you say I am doomed, it has been in my blind side, in my blind spot for so many years. And for so many years for me, Sorrel, I wasn't aware. I didn't have really a powerful awareness of how I speak to myself. I just knew I talked. I knew I have thoughts. I knew I have intentions. I knew I have goals. But I didn't know that I've got to be responsible for how I speak to myself. It impacts all of it, my well-being, my vitality, my energy, my relationship with others. So okay, so that's the first relationship, right?
And that's the first relationship. And I know we're probably going to maybe dive into two or three, but what you just said invites a question, or at least the introduction of a practice, Giovanni. It's like, what does it mean for me to be responsible for the way I talk to myself? I think it first means that I actually pause and hear what I say to myself, as opposed to it just being there as chatter. Second, when I hear it, I can also take a moment to be present to the impact it's having on me right now. Because see, the thing that is in my head most often, Gio, as I pause to look, never shows up as just some thought with no thing attached to it. It always comes as an opinion. And that opinion is often attached to a feeling or an emotion. Like I'll be angry, or I'll be happy, or I'll be loving, or I'll be passionate, whatever it is, it's always there. So being responsible for how I speak to myself involves noticing that I'm speaking to myself, getting present to the impact that the current speaking is having. And if it's not aligned with what I want and what I say, I make a switch. Like I invite something else, like an intention.
Yeah, it's not cheap. Talk is not cheap.
No.
And it's not, and it is for me, for so many years, Saurel. I mean, I've got to call on myself, Saurel. And I'm doing it in the hope that that I can awake some people who are in my own trend, for me, for so many years, I would not be conscious, like really present, really conscious of the little lines that I would say to myself, like, oh my God, I'm such a loser, you know? And like you said, it will come with an emotional charge, like an emotional connection. And I'm like, oh, why was I so stupid? And I would say it that way, and every now and then it would come a greater French word, a word. So what I just started noticing is, yeah, maybe nobody heard me. Yeah, maybe I don't need to be significant about it. But what I started noticing was, but that's creating a world about myself to myself. That's actually creating something. And I used to think, well, I'm not gonna talk to Stan like that. I'm not gonna tell him, why are you so stupid? Or I'm just gonna say it to myself. What I discovered over the years, Saurel, is that if it would impact Stan to talk to him like that, it is also impacting me to talk to me that way. So that's the first level of communication. That's the first level of
Yeah,
leadership.
and that first level is tricky, Gio, because for many people, it sounds as loud and as straight and direct as you just said. Oh my God, how could I be so stupid, right? But there is the subtle way in which it comes to. Like, why did I do that? God, couldn't I do it some other way? I'll speak to myself in a way that's not so brutal, but what's behind it is the same thing. So I really, appreciate you bringing that up. And I want to make sure that even the subtle ways in which it shows up matters.
Yeah, look with a magnifying glass, right?
Yeah.
Let's look at number 2.
All right. Number 2 says, the way I speak to you, Gio, and my relationship with you, I'm responsible for that. Meaning I am responsible for the way my words land over there with you. And let's take the other one too, level 3. The way you speak to me and your relationship with me. In the world of 100% responsibility, we're saying, I am responsible for my interpretation of what you say and the impact of what you say on me. So I am the one who says how this relationship is for me. Me with you, you with me.
Yeah, that's a big mouthful, right? That's a very difficult to get. Or I'm going to continue to use myself as an example. That was really difficult for me to get this possibility you're creating, Saurel, that I am responsible in this world of communication. I am responsible for the way I interpret what you say to me. You could say anything to me,
Yeah.
and I can be responsible for how I am interpreting that. And then there's this other aspect which you're saying, I am also responsible for the way you interpret what I am saying to you. So that leaves me with this very unfair position. Like, what do you mean?
It's kind of unfair, isn't it? I mean, if I say the word that I say and you end up interpreting it some way, isn't that your own business?
That's your business, that's your trauma, that's your baby mama, that's your problem. That's not my problem how you're interpreting things, right? However, what you're saying and what we're creating here is that there is this possibility, there is this position that one can be in, and it's very powerful, not fair, but really powerful, in which I take on full responsibility for how you interpret me. So if I say something that you misinterpret, I take responsibility for finding out that you misinterpreted. And also I take responsibility for saying it differently so that you can get the world I was coming from or what I was trying to say so that you can get it. That's
This
very
is a
powerful.
critical practice, Gio. This is a critical practice, that what the words I say have an impact.
Yeah.
And usually I'm oblivious to the impact of my words until somebody's face changes and, oh my God, they're angry. Oh my God, they're sad. Oh my God, they're offended, right? And usually I walk right past that. Maybe I don't even apologize. And now you're introducing this practice of pausing and saying, what did you hear me say? To actually hear the other person say out loud their interpretation, I take it on that what I said caused that. And I take on the responsibility of causing my intention over there, not as a way to manipulate, not as a strategy, but literally as me being the embodiment of the statement. I am 100% responsible for how my words land with you. And I'm willing to practice and play until my word lands with you in a way that leaves you empowered and leaves us collaborating and creating together. That is.
Yeah. That really takes something. And also being responsible the other way around, right? Being responsible for
how I
making sure that I know. Yeah. I like to struggle, Saurel. I like struggling. I like thinking what I'm going to say rather than just saying it, right? So here's what I'm trying to say. I like this possibility of being responsible for all my interpretations. Like you say, Gio, today you woke up looking crazy. What else could I interpret from that? Did you mean that I'm a bad person? Did you mean I am lazy? Did you mean I am unorganized? Or did you mean I have a lot of energy? All this, right? I gotta check in and I gotta ask you, well, what do you mean by that? And I've got to take full responsibility for how am I interpreting you. And by doing that, it leaves me on the driving seat of our relationship. Because you may have meant to say, wow, you woke up crazy today. It meant that you're full of energy and you're giving a lot of love. But I took on, you mean that I'm unorganized and I'm lazy. And you're like, no, I didn't mean that. And I said, yeah, you meant that. And then our relationship is over at that.
Gio, you said you love to struggle. And I really got something in you saying that maybe effective communication with me, with others, is in the struggle. Like this deliberate approach of seeking to really get you. I really just got that. Effective communication is not a function of what I say, knowing what to say, or even saying it right. Effective communication, the kind of effective communication that engenders juicy relationships like Tara and Catherine we talk about, is in the struggle. My struggling with the reasons why I interpreted your words the way I did My having the courage to actually fess up and say, this is what I heard. My having the courage to now hear you say, no, or yes, this is exactly what I meant, or no, that's not what I meant. And staying in the conversation, regardless of what's inside of me as a feeling or an emotion, to reveal and discover together what's being said, what's being communicated. Wow.
Yeah, the effective communication happens in the struggle. I love what you said. So we have had Florence raise their hand and also
Yeah,
Michelle
so
raise their
let's
hand.
open it up.
Let's check in with Florence and then we go with you, Michelle. Unless Florence, you're no longer have something you want to say.
Okay, good morning, and thanks for this conversation. Morning, everyone. Whoa, it's wonderful. Um, I in 2020, I don't know, that was a year of so many realizations for me. The year of COVID, I was home alone, and after COVID, I got so many realizations and like insights and everything. And with communication, I had friends that were struggling with things. I drew a triangle to help someone to like two people that were struggling. One was complaining to me, and I said, let's imagine your cell phone, you're the iPhone, and I have a Samsung phone, or even if it's just two Samsung phones or whatever. How does this one cell phone communicate with the other cell phone? And that person said, well, it has to have a tower. And I said, okay, so the only way my cell phone can communicate with your cell phone is if that tower is in existence, because apart from that, we can communicate. So I feel the crux of the matter really. I mean, I know my source, so I get present to my source and the relationship I have with source. And the relationship I have with source impacts the relationship I have with self. So communication is all part of that for me. So between you and I, when we are communicating, if we are in tune with source, if we are in tune with ourselves, we are able to bring the to communicate with each other. When we disconnect from self or we disconnect from source, this is when you have a lot of static and miscommunication. So this is the base from which I come when I'm thinking about communication.
Wow. Florence, that was a lot, Florence, but I want to say something, Florence, in the context for the opportunity of communication and communicate effectively. In your speaking, Florence, you used metaphors and symbols for the possibility of something. So what Saurel and I are pointing to is that now, and we're not going to do it now, Florence. I'm just going to point to something, but we're not going to do it. Unfortunately, we only have 4 minutes. But since you spoke with metaphors and symbols, now you've got to check in with me. This is what Saurel and I are pointing to. You got to check in with me and ask, so Gio, I know you heard a few metaphors and a few symbols for the opportunity of what my source is. What do you understand by that? And then I will tell you my world of that. And then you'll have a chance to see my world like, oh, no, that's not what I meant, Gio. Here's what I meant. Or, yeah, that's what I meant, Gio. What Saurel and I are saying is that effective communication is an aspect of checking in with another person. What are you hearing in what I'm saying? Or what are you interpreting with what I'm saying? And then be responsible for that interpretation. Like saying, no, I didn't mean that. Let me say it differently. Until you struggle enough in the communication, until you get that I get what you said without judgment. We just got each other. That's the world that Saurel and I are pointing to. And then Saurel, I don't know
Okay.
if you want to add something else to that,
Yeah.
or we go with Michelle. I just want
Let's
to
go with
let you know that
Michelle because
Michelle
we
is
only have a couple of minutes left. But let's keep pointing back to the struggle that you're mentioning, right? So effective communication is not about the words. It's about the struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Michelle. Oh, Michelle,
Michelle,
you're on mute.
iPhone 12 Pro Max. Maybe she.
Oh, here I am. I'm unmuted. I'm unmuted now.
Michelle is
There
working.
you are.
Good, good morning, Gio, Saurel, Florence. Thank you for the shares and the conversation. Okay, I think I got a little bit clearer now as you went on to say more. Now, okay, so I am responsible for how my communication lands with the other person. So this is why I'm seeking clarity to what they heard. Okay. All right. Now, when I'm
Responsible like it's your fault. No, like a possibility. Like you are willing to check in as a because you can and you're that powerful. And you choose to be responsible for how other interpret what you're saying.
what I said. Okay. Mhm. And then on the other hand, when something is said to me, I then have to check in with the person to so I then have to ask them, I have to say to them, this is what I heard. Is that what you meant?
Exactly.
Exactly. Right?
Okay.
Because what you hear is not the words. What you hear is processed by your brain through the filter of your life, your experience, everything
Right.
you
Okay.
call you.
Yes.
So-
So based on my experiences, I'm already listening to something based on what they said, then I'm processing it to mean this or that. I'm putting a meaning to it.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm wanting to check in with them because my meaning and interpretation may have nothing to do with what they wanted to communicate with me.
More than
Mic
likely.
drop, Michelle.
Okay, I got it. I got it now. Yeah.
Wow, Michelle, that's pretty awesome.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
really awesome.
No, yeah. But I have to be, what I'm realizing is that I have to be courageous enough to bring that to the person because I'm thinking of an instance when something, a situation, I walked into the room and my boyfriend said to me a couple of weeks ago, what's the matter with your hair? What's going on with your hair? Something like that. And all of a sudden, I took offense, and
Oh
I
my
started
God.
well, what do you
Yes.
mean by that? I didn't say what, I don't know what I said, but I said something. But then I walked away because I didn't want to engage and go further into it. But I went off and I went to do the dishes. But in my head, a whole thing was going on about my feelings were hurt and this and that, da, 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 da. But I didn't want to have I didn't want to, I don't know what I didn't want. I didn't want to face and go deeper into the conversation. So I
Yeah.
stayed with my hurt feelings and then, had to process it on my own after I had to process it for me to move away from a place of upset, internal upset. I had to say, okay, now, Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle, I really like that you use the sentence. I have to be courageous enough to check in with another person. That's really powerful. It's very beautiful. And I really see it for myself. If I walk into a room, what's wrong with your hair today? I may have a lot of interpretations. Something's wrong with me. I'm not good looking. You don't like my hair. I mean, I didn't.
Right. All of that. Yeah.
Or, well, there's nothing wrong with my hair to me. What do you see? Let me check in. What do you see? And then perhaps the other person has a chance to say, well, there's nothing wrong. Sorry, I said it that way. Who knows what could open up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's just different. It's just different today. That's all. Yeah.
yeah,
Thank
Michelle,
you.
I love that you went back to being courageous and the kind of courage it says, one of the ways you could also say it, and I'm inviting each of you to say it that way. When I'm upset, it's a sign that I'm not being responsible for my relationship with me. And I'm not being responsible for what I'm saying to myself. When I'm upset with another, it's a sign that I'm not being responsible for my relationship with them. The way I'm interpreting what they said or what they did. When another is upset with me, it's a sign that I'm not being responsible for their relationship with me. Like how my words landed on them.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll take it even further. When another is upset with you, I can also say, I'm 100% responsible. And when others are upset with others, I'm also 100% responsible. It's the kind of world where communication is at the center of it all, and I'm the master of it. So mastering communication isn't about speaking well. Mastering communication is about the struggle that Gio and I are pointing to. And that's our invitation for today.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wonderful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Gio,
that helps.
The time has gone by, brother. What is the
Yes.
last thing you want to say on the subject?
The last thing I want to say on the subject is thank you all for being here. Rashida, Lori, Molly, Christy, Virtue, Florence, Cece. Thank you all. Thank you all for being here and being part of this community and giving love to one another. I think my life has evolved, and certainly from the listening of others and from the faith that others have in others. And this is selfless act of listening to another human being creates who they can be. So, Saurel, thank you for creating this conversation with me. Thank you for the dance. Do you want me to do the 8 tenets, or are you going to do it?
Of course. If you're here, I want you to say, hug the trees, eat the trees. Come on, do it.
Okay, awesome. All right. So for the rest of today, and tomorrow is my birthday, so I want you to have a phenomenal Tuesday, okay? Because tomorrow is my birthday. And I'm going to give you 8 tenets to live a renegade life. Live like a renegade life. Yes, happy birthday. So you got to live renegade. There's no other way to live life like a renegade. All right. So there are 8 ways to live life like a renegade. The first one is love. Love, always choose love. And right now we're about to go into this social experiment called elections. And there is going to be lots of talking. Try to avoid the media, because they're going to say something about one and say something about the other. But remember this, there's a kind of an influence that is so pervasive that does not define who we are. So choose love. Choose love choose to love those who you love, and to choose love to those who are going to vote different than you. Choose love for those who have a different opinion from you. Choose love for those who have a different way of thinking and feeling. And it's all reactive anyways. A social experiment. Choose love. Eat more plant-based. Get closer to the trees. Hug the trees. Eat the trees. Eat more plant-based. Let go of the animals. Let them run a little bit more. One more time. One more day. I promise it gives you more energy. And this is something I struggle with every day, but I know the difference it makes. So I don't want to stop saying it. Eat more plant-based. Get closer to the trees. Hug the trees. Eat the trees. Sleep more. This is critical. We gotta sleep at least 7 hours. I mean, really, at least 7 hours. If you can't sleep, don't go to your phone. Go to a book. I promise your brain will say, okay, fine, I'm going to bed. Grab a book. Sleep more. Move your body. I want to say walk 10 minutes in the morning, and then walk 10 minutes right after lunch. Every single day, choose the habit of walking. This will change your life forever. Give what you can, give what you have. You're not taking it anywhere other than, you're not taking anything after this life. Really, this is all there is. Might as well give as much as you can. Keep giving. I forgot the other ones. Check yourself.
Before you wreck
Did you
yourself.
say move?
I already said move.
All right. Well, check yourself. Check your assumptions. And remember, when you're upset, you're responsible for that.
Many times.
Yes.
Thank you all for being here. Have a great day. See you tomorrow on my birthday. Bye.
One love. Have a great day.
Bye-bye, Michelle.
Bye-bye.
Blessings.
Welcome, Christy. Thank you for being here. Lori, welcome.